セットライズと逃げろ。誰でもトトできる。誰でもスキルを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれるに嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。いい霞をたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。レバヤさんニュース。レバヤさんニュース。
What's up, everyone? DAdvisoor here. Wait a minute, because I did that video thing. It's still on screen. Just a second. Apologize, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, by the way, for tuning in until I solve this. How do I minimize it? What's this? Aha! Finally. Apologize. The video did run more smoothly, I must say, so I'm happy about that. Shout out to Arcos for the intro video. And what's up, everyone? DAdvisoor here. Another episode of Leviathan News. And I'm actually very excited to be here for the first time, and actually their first ever podcast, presenting Quote. Let me just remember what I read there. A permissionless trading desk. I saw on your profile, I think, Filo, and also on the website itself, which I will show in a minute. I remember seeing that you guys intend to bring institutional grade execution on Hyperliquid. So, like I told you guys, we haven't really covered the Hyperliquid that much, so it's a lot of fun to do so, and we haven't really actually covered trading that much, to be honest. We're very stablecoin centered most of the time, like all this stablecoin nerd stuff. So it's actually kind of fun to also bring some trading content. So first of all, thank you guys for joining. Let me just introduce you guys for a bit. Filo and Josh, two of the co-founders of Quote. What's up, guys?
What's up? Thank you for having us. That's right. That's our mission, bringing institutional grade execution to Hyperliquid.
Very cool. We'll get into what does that actually even mean in like a minute. And also, I remember when you explained it to me when we talked, Philo, that you told me that you guys are solving something that most of the users don't even know needs solving. So that's why I actually chose that headline. And let's get into that. And before that, even your background. But just before we do that, let me just present the sponsors of this week's show. Actually, Pharos Watch, the new stablecoin dashboard by TokenBrice. So shout out TokenBrice, friend of the show. Actually had him on the show on Monday. Always fun. Let me just pop the Pharos website on screen. Just a second. All right. So if you want to monitor your stablecoin and stablecoins in general and get really all of the relevant data in one place, I really recommend you check out Pharos Watch. You can watch stuff like the stability index that he's checked, safety scores, dependency map, liquidity, DPEG tracker, all kinds of actually very cool stuff. Let me just show you some of that stuff. Stablecoin rank. It's kind of similar to DeFi Scan if you're familiar with the other tool that he's already built a few months ago. And I really recommend you guys check it out. I actually think you will enjoy it quite a bit. You can find it at Pharos.watch. And shout out TokenBrice. Thank you for choosing Leviathan News. Appreciate this sponsorship a lot. And let me just show your screen a bit here for a second, gentlemen, if you don't mind, before you start telling me all about what you do. Where is that? Okay, so we are actually here to talk about an app that's not even live yet. It's coming up, and you can find it at, what's the website there, guys? It's quotemarkets.xyz. Yes?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so institutional grade execution on Hyperliquid. Before we get into that, I actually want to you guys to give us like a few, I don't know, share a bit about yourselves. Like, what's your background? How did you even get to the position that you know each other, first of all? And what actually made you realize that you're into building this new tool? Like, who are you guys? Let's start.
That's a good way to start. Yeah, I'll go first, and then Josh, maybe you follow along. Basically, I think I'm part of the class of 2021 that onboarded to DeFi with DeFi Summer, and I think I'm between those professionals that have started their career in crypto and in DeFi, since it was of an interest, and as well as something that came across in the studies. I decided to pursue DeFi as my personal background from the start. So I've been involved in a few projects in the past, mainly on the research side. I had a small stint in crypto.com in the research team, as well as in the first native DEX on Arbitrum. And in 2022, when FTX collapsed, I took the perhaps wise decision to differentiate my personal experience from crypto only into TradFi as well. So that was about the time when I joined JP Morgan. I, straight out of uni, went into JP doing tech sales mostly, so covering a lot of the fintechs clients in the portfolio of JP Morgan. And I'd say like around a year in, I started working in Kinexys Digital Assets. So this is the branch in JP Morgan taking care of the tokenization of the bank. So a lot of funds and partnerships inside and outside of the bank. And I've been there since then, so 2024, 2025, until 2 weeks ago when I gave my notice to build Quote, basically. The team around Quote, you'll see, Josh has really institutional background as well. As this mission to bring parts of the tools and services that we have seen being used in TradFi and in CeFi as well, to a broader market, I would say. So given the existence of this permissionless tech and of AI, we are able to offer services like this to a lot more people and to much of a lower cost. And so I think Josh was the first person I brought along into Quote, and perhaps we'll go more into details around how this whole thing started. But we actually met in a funny way, which was through a business game back in uni, and we kept in touch since then, 3 years ago, always working on side projects and things like this. So yeah, very happy to introduce Josh as well.
Yep, thanks for the intro. I'm more on the TradFi side of things, at least from a background. As Filo said, I started in consulting. I was consulting startups to begin with while I was still studying. Then I moved into institutional consulting for banks, mostly on the tokenization side. After which I moved to private banking, and then ultimately got introduced to crypto, started trading myself, and then joined Signum Bank. So now getting the best of both worlds, having exposure to both institutional players and the crypto industry as a whole. So pretty much always been interested in markets, and then crypto specifically is a byproduct of Filippo's influence, I would say. The funny side of the story is how we met. We were partaking in this consulting project, and it was the two of us, and then we had a team of 4, but ultimately it was just us doing the work. We managed to win it, and then ever since, as Filo said, we've been in touch. We've done many side projects, tried to build a few things, and then ultimately the good opportunity presented itself with Quote, and here we are today. So Filo wants to break down with a lens what led us to think Quote was a great shot, and what brought us to the point in which we understood we had a chance to build something that was worth doing. Mainly the point I would raise on top of what he said is that there's a democratization of access to financial instruments that's still lacking in DeFi, especially with the development of certain markets. We've seen participation in these markets by institutionals, or at least more sophisticated investors, and this was to the detriment of retail and less sophisticated players. Now, Phil, if you want to step in just to provide the first flint of how Quote started.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, basically we've been on Hyperliquid since 2023, and been trading on it, obviously driven by the product growth and the good team actions and the points campaign. And what I've noticed it with our own trading, but as well just connecting with other traders, is that when people trade and they're not sophisticated, so they're not market makers or people that are running algorithmic strategies via APIs, the way they trade is usually by looking at the charts and looking at the mid price of the order book. And for most people, since they have an alpha that is bigger than a few BPS on every trade, this works fine usually. Like the execution is not where they make the most of the P&L from. But we quickly realized that this, together with the fact that Hyperliquid has a lot of retail flow, and a lot of people just use Hyperliquid as their primary venue to trade spot and perps as well. This was a lot of money that the people were leaving on the table, traders specifically. And together with the fact that Hyperliquid has all of the public data, it's enormous, right? Like Hypercore publishes around 100 gigabytes per day of data around orders and trades. We realized a mismatch around the data that was available and the data people were using to execute their trades. And so that's kind of how Quote was born, like by this realization of, right, like there is a lot of data to optimize your trades for, but you're not really using it because it's humanly impossible to use it. And the only way you can use it is if you are a very sophisticated guy and ingest all of the data and then run algorithms, where in most cases for Hyperliquid traders, it's not the case.
Let me ask you something which even I think precedes that. Like, why is everyone trading on Hyperliquid? Like, what makes Hyperliquid special, and why does it seem that basically everyone who trades the past year and a half or so has chosen Hyperliquid instead of where they used to be trading?
Yeah, I will pose the opposite question. Why wouldn't you trade on a venue that offers very deep liquidity, a lot of leverage, all of the assets that you want in a non-custodial way, so you don't have to trust the platform, right? If you are a trader, like, you're removing a lot of trust in the system, and this is exactly where Hyperliquid was born, right? Like after FTX, the founding team was like, okay, FTX was great as an exchange, less great as a business, around less great. Let's get that component of FTX that was great in a DeFi setting, and so in a permissionless and self-custodial way. And I think this is really the first basis of why Hyperliquid is great. It's a great product overall. And then the team executed very well on a few components. So they had this very big point campaign that really made people try out the product, and it was very organic usage. They were rewarding with the points campaign. And every single decision, I've been around the Hyperliquid server and trading platform for a while. Every single decision they've taken since I joined was the best decision they could have taken in that situation, around the token design, around token launch, around the HLP product, around the HIP1, HIP2, HIP3. Every single decision demonstrates that there is just a lot of understanding around what they are building, the products that they are solving, as well as being a positive sum for the ecosystem as well, trying to design a token that brings value to token holders and to points holders, and really trying to push the standard in a very high way. So the team has inherently built in this trust that is not needed to use their product, but is needed to, in order like to buy the token and to hang out in the ecosystem. And so a lot of builders, just like me and Josh and our co-founders, we've joined for this way. Like, we want to be part of this part of DeFi, which we consider great, and we are willing to leave our careers behind and build a business in the space for this.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, it is a big decision, to leave an actual career in like the real world where they do real things and like they work with real corporations, and actually pursue a dream and to actually build something that I'm sure that, like, you don't do that kind of a decision, you don't make that kind of a decision unless you actually think that you're on to something much bigger than the path you were on, I'm guessing, guys.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels like from the first moment we've taken over the Quote project and said, okay, like, these actually can solve the problem of some traders. The project scope is increasing is doubling every week, basically. So the more we look into solving issues and building products that are needed in the Hyperliquid ecosystem, the more things we find to solve and build. And so that's, yeah, I think by time the decision is turning out itself to be more right, it's just by the Quote taking shape, at least in my side.
You want to add anything there, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Filippo mentioned is quite pivotal to us. It's not just about having one single point of development, but it's actually having a greater vision. And if we do believe, and this is the case, that Hyperliquid is the future of finance on chain and traditional finance is fully coming on chain, it's not a matter of how, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of how, then you understand that Hyperliquid is the best positioned protocol, at least in our understanding. And it makes complete sense to take a leap of faith and jump, because ultimately this is going to be something that will change, especially retail traders' experience from the get-go, but also institutional adoption later on along the line. Since there's a strong understanding that tokenization or blockchain in general, a way of going, especially for incumbent players, then Hyperliquid is, to our understanding, best positioned to capture this flow from both sophisticated and unsophisticated traders. And we do believe it's absolutely the best choice to go for.
Very cool. Take us through again, and try to do it, like, at least for me, so I will understand. Probably my viewers are much more savvy than I am, although I don't know, again, how many of them are mostly into trading itself. Like, okay, so what actually separates Quote, and why is Quote going to be better? And what is Quote actually solving that? Because, many venues, like, they offer trading experiences, often with like different trade-offs on usually the way, like, I see it, and again in a very unprofessional way, the biggest trade-off I'm usually seeing is liquidity versus decentralization. Often the places where you really want to trade a lot of tokens, if you really want to do like big trades or whatever, you're often like compromising on like the level of decentralization that you're experiencing. So I'll phrase it this way. Why should they choose Quote?
they will choose quote once they realize that what the product do. But I agree. Like the pain point in DeFi feels like you have a lot of these like offshore checks that are not really trustable, like Gate.io or KuCoin. These list a lot of assets, and of course, are very centralized. And you have to trust them. And then the moment you go in DeFi, before Hyperliquid was okay, like you trade a few spots going here and there. There is the YDX, there is GMX. Now Hyperliquid is kind of together with Unit, it's been kind of aggregating all of the bridging from chains, so it's become a bit of a multi-chain project. In this case, like if you are trading on Hyperliquid, and especially if you're trading more exotic things rather than BTC and ETH, but also if you're trading those assets that are generally liquid on Hyperliquid and other venues as well, you should care about the impact you're having on the market with your own trade, the fees that you're paying for executing your trade, and even the pricing that you're getting, even if you don't get too much slippage or too high fees from the exchange. Is the pricing that it's on Hyperliquid a premium compared to other venues? Are you getting a quote price from market maker that is not exactly the price that you should be getting? And we are of the idea that once you try what we are trying in the backend before launching, and hopefully we will launch the private beta soon, is that once you try the benefits of just trading like a pro by using the same interface as Hyperliquid, then you should. You will switch. It's just a matter of us meeting the expectations in terms of user experience that are, first of all, this trading desk compared to other trading desks must be non-custodial, right? Which will never get along and attached of your assets in any circumstance. Second of all, you should not meet our requirements for doing the trade. Like we should not tell you how to place your trade. You should tell us how to place your trade, and then in the back of that, we should go and execute the trade for you. And so, if you're able to meet these two main things, together with having a low latency and having a lot of benefits for using our algorithms, then we believe there is a very strong case to use a trading desk for your trading, even if you're not trading at an enormous size.
Yeah, if I can add to this specifically, another component that it's often overlooked, it's kind of called a dark forest effect, or at least the dark forest environment. Since many people do use trading interfaces without any sophisticated backend or without sophisticated algorithms, whatever they do is visible. So what they do on chain is visible to many other players. It's kind of like the scenario in which you go as a defenseless sheep into the dark forest, and then you have all these wild and bad animals ready to hunt you down. And that's kind of like the average experience for the unsophisticated trader. So having some sort of defense mechanism in that sense that could shield the way you execute, that could prevent you from being farmed from these other players, like front running. And this is kind of exactly encapsulated in the concept we define as order book NEV. So the concept thanks to which there is leakage of alpha to players more sophisticated, that have high frequency trading strategies running, and pretty much market makers competing against traders. And ultimately, if they have the better infrastructure and the better understanding of how the market structure works, then they can capture alpha from less sophisticated players. Then the quote would be, for those players, pretty much the way to shield themselves from the institutionals. Once you go with it, you will go back. That's something to take into account as well.
That's a very good point, actually. It touches on what I want to ask next, which is mostly, okay, so who is it for? Like, who is the target audience of Quote? Who do you see as like the main audience that's gonna find Quote useful, and maybe then some of the other niche audiences? Like, is it only for mega pros? Is it for like the most common retail investor that knows nothing? Is it a one size fits all? How do you guys view it?
It's all of them, progressively. Like, as I said, there's no reason for anyone trading on Hyperliquid to not go through us ultimately. Now, of course, the best perception of value add would come to less sophisticated traders to begin with. by evolving though the product itself, we aim to cater to more sophisticated participants and making sure we can actually service institutional investors that are currently being left out of Hyperliquid and in substance all DeFi markets just by virtue of their own compliance requirements and restrictions. That's something that's in the scope of Quote itself. So bringing access to on-chain finance to everyone and making sure that we actually offer solutions that are state-of-the-art in terms of quality to both retail and institutional investors. So just to summarize it, the evolution would be a closed beta for whales who have crypto knowledge but don't have institutional grade execution, so they don't have the access to the infrastructure or the algorithms. And then over time, as the volumes grow, then we can kind of get into a scenario in which we can offer OTC services. And that would allow us to have the flows to bring in the more sophisticated and institutional players. I don't know if I've spoiled too much, Filo, if you want to say something else on top of it.
That's okay. Yeah, I think like to put it, most people here probably are yield farmers and DeFi users. So to put it in perspective, whenever you're trading spot and you're executing a trade on Uniswap instead of using a swap aggregator like DeFi Llama or 0x, you're feeling like you're leaving something on the table. Right? You still execute the trade, but it feels like you're not getting the best. If you're buying 1,000 with 1,000 USDC, you're buying it on mainnet. If you're not using one of those services that aggregates the best price and tries to get you the best execution, you still get your trading done, but it feels like you're leaving something on the table. And this is exactly what we are trying to achieve with Quote, right? Like you can still use the Hyperliquid front end. And if you're trading with small size, you perhaps don't care. If with 1,000 USDC, if you don't get the best feel on it, you're leaving a few dollars on the table. If you trade more than that, or even if you trade that, like I guess for people that have a portfolio that is a bit bigger, they do care a lot about slippage and the spreads and the fees and the market impact. But ultimately, like I think what you're trying to do when you're in DeFi is it's of course have fun, live on chain, bank on chain, like be completely the bank and invest in these projects that are on chain. But as well, you are trying to make money at the end of the day. And if you are trading, and if you're trading venture, you want to have the best shot at trading and generating P&L, positive P&L. And the way you're going to do that is by taking care of your execution as well, besides your alpha generation, which may not be an execution itself.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, so maybe I didn't understand you correctly, but you actually mean that not necessarily all, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I didn't get that because I was also answering some comments there that I will show you some of the questions as well. And shout out to everyone in the audience asking questions, by the way. I will show it to Josh and Filo in a minute because some good questions are there. But did you say that some users will be using Quote without even knowing that they're using Quote? Like Quote will be integrated on the back end while they're actually thinking that they're just trading on a Hyperliquid, or did I misinterpret that?
I don't think it was framed, but actually that's correct. We will be offering our services to other interfaces that want to use our order execution services, meaning you might be trading on another Hyperliquid front end, but at the end of the day, you could be routed with us. So that's also a good way to look at it.
That's insane, actually. I actually think that's a huge force. Whenever someone can get themselves into just the back end of an app that on the front end many already has its audience and a group of users. But you're just being added as a layer at the back end that facilitates things. I think that's a huge advantage for an app. So shout out for that. I know I saw there was something there, but I'll need to rewatch the episode to make sure what exactly made me notice that. I was actually focusing on answering to Hannah because I must say some people are really looking at YouTube. It seems that people like trading more than I'm used to, and they have much better questions than I have, I must say. So let me show you first of all these first few questions by Hannah. Shout out Hannah, thank you very much. Hope I'm saying your name correctly. I have a few questions. How does your system manage risk, especially when trading with leverage? Do you have built-in safeguards to prevent large losses for users?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. Like we use Hyperliquid, so everything is managed by them. It's a battle-tested system. We use builder code, so Hyperliquid does build a very open system you can plug into and build financial applications like ours on top of. And so all of the leverage, margining, and collateral is managed by Hyperliquid. We just handle the order data before it's submitted to them and to the order book. And so in general, like these leverage systems and question around the designs, we will generally refer back to the Hyperliquid docs.
Thank you very much, Josh. Let me pop up another question here by Hannah. What happens if the strategy goes through a losing streak?
Well, I think Filo broke this down previously, but the whole point is we do not manage strategies for users. What they do get by us is execution on their own strategies. So that's up to them for how they execute their trading. It's something they do with us, but what's behind it, so the ideas they have when they go on the market, it's not something we manage to operate on. Just to frame it better, probably a metaphor that would work for you is when you go and build, when you want to build something, say you want to build a chair or a cupboard from IKEA, then there's many ways you can do it. Like you can use screws, you can use hammers, but then also the more sophisticated the tools you use, the better the job. Right? You can do it in many ways, but the idea I want to get you to is that we provide you the most advanced tools to do what you intend to do to begin with. Now, if you dig a hole in the wrong place, then that's your problem. That's something that's up to the user. We just provide you with a better drill solution. I think this could exemplify better and answer your question more extensively.
I really enjoyed that metaphor, Josh. Thank you very much. This is a very great moment to clip, I must say. Hannah, thank you so much for the questions. If you have any others, please add them. And same for everyone else watching. Thank you very much. I see some new viewers actually here. So shout out to you guys. Please remember to go and follow quote.xyz and the guys and Leviathan News and myself as well. Guys, how many people are currently working at Quote? Like how big is the team right now?
We are a very compact team that uses a lot of AI. And so at the moment is 3 of us working. Like we are living, I briefly mentioned these at the start, we're living at quite a weird time where there is a lot of very large team. And then there is a few people that I like to frame our team as part of, which are finding incredible efficiencies in using AI. And so while we are taking care that all of the security features and the backend is built in a very secure way, we are able like to work very well and very fast. And so the team is small on purpose.
That's actually very interesting. You know, just I think it was last week or maybe the week before that, where Jack, the previous owner of Twitter, announced that he's laying off like 40% of the personnel, like 4,000 people on that company. What's that company called? Block?
Block, yes.
So just like you said, man, we're entering insane times, and we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Probably that, like, unless you're doing something very important and very useful that cannot be replaced and automated, it will be replaced at some point. So, like, organizations are going to be built in a very unique way, and I think with crypto, even in the past few years, we've already seen these organizations which are often very lean, like pretty minimal on employees. I remember that I used to see that what are they, that Tether, for example, they're like, I don't know if it's still the case, but they were like the most profitable company in terms of revenue per employee.
That's actually Hyperliquid now. But funnily enough,
yeah?
Yep. They have a team of 11 with more than $1 billion in revenue per year. So
that's insane. That's actually insane. So really, the job market is changing, and tech is really entering a very accelerated phase, which is kind of fascinating to see. I'll use that as a bridge to the next question. Like, okay, guys, so where do you hope to take a quote and like how quickly? Like, what are you guys thinking of? What are you hoping for? First of all, like if you even know already when quote is going to be launched, and like okay, what are your what's your destination? If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Where do you want
to
be? Basically, what
I'll take this one. I think like as founders, we generally follow the philosophy that whatever we are doing, we should do faster and better. And so how quick, like we will try to be as quick as possible while we ensuring that we publish a safe to use and efficient and product that has benefits. In general, we are working towards launching a private beta at the end of this month, in March. And then from there, really the sky is the limit. Like we are, as I said, empowered by the latest technology and empowered by a really good understanding of the institutional landscape and the DeFi landscape. We have a lot to build for institutions to come on chain. And while like whatever was said earlier could be a bit too much, this is also a very good opportunity for crypto, because we are one of the few payment rails and trading rails with Hyperliquid that this new world order that is emerging can use and will use. And so we really have a lot to build. I'm afraid what we are talking about, execution piece, is as much info as is available right now. But we have very clear in mind, and part of my previous role at JP Morgan was actually trying to explore the Hyperliquid ecosystem from within the bank. And we are really we're really sure about the problems they are facing when exploring these kind of ecosystems. And so this gives us an approach in trying to build products for people like, those tier 1 banks, but as well as other tiers of banks to come on chain, do their operation, and slowly move into an open and more fair system where everybody's got the same access to the tools. Quote itself, if you want to use a service like Quote in TradFi, you'll never be able to if you are not an institutional or a very professional trader. The same thing in CeFi. Like there is, these execution piece you can execute with Talos, with other like very big players. What turns out is that you have to onboard as a corporate. You may not be super comfortable with the requirements for onboarding, as well as with the pricing. Like you will have a monthly fix plus paying a few BPS just for training execution. And so this is something that we have in mind, like be super agentic friendly in terms of building the product in a way that agents can interact for, be institutional friendly, and be retail friendly. So there is a lot of interface that this Quote application has to have.
It really touches on what Josh mentioned earlier, that you guys are trying to really build a product that's going to fit a variety of different users rather than provide just the needs of one specific niche audience.
Yeah, the way usually the startup playbook is by Sam Altman. Well, right now he's not living off the best reputation. His playbook is great, like to build a business and scale a startup. Like start from a problem you are experiencing yourself, which is people like me, Josh, perhaps some of the people in your audience as well, which trade on Hyperliquid, feel like they're leaving something on the table. Delve deep into the problem. Build the problem for people that are experiencing that pain. The super niche of the Hyperliquid trader. Like if I go on even now, like in the straight, and I ask somebody about Hyperliquid, like they will never know what it is, how it works, and what problems they're living when trading on an order book. So this is a very niche thing. And then from there, start to expand and to change the way everybody trades into a better way. Yeah.
I actually think that, when I often, almost every founder, that's what they tell me, that they start, same for TokenBrice this week when we talked about Pharos' new stablecoin dashboard. When a founder builds something for themselves, first of all, like when they just want to solve an issue that they are facing with themselves, this is like a situation in which inherently the project already has PMF, because the founder, they know exactly why they're building it, and they know it's needed because they need it themselves, and they just don't find a proper solution for it in the market. And the more I interview people, I'm encountering this narrative for years of often it's the case that someone is building a great project because he just needed it,
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing. Hyperliquid itself, right? Jeff was trading on FTX.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Jeff built Hyperliquid because FTX collapsed, and they didn't want to take the same trust exception. Ourselves, really? Yes, yeah. This is the lore story behind it.
I didn't even know that.
And I'm sure in your case as well, Leviathan, perhaps you felt like information wasn't going in the direction you wanted or shared in the same way that you would expect. And so that small problem that when you started these solve your issues and your friend's circle issue, then it became a 79K on Telegram group of users.
Don't believe that 79K. It really can't be. Honestly, it can't be. I have no idea. We don't. By the way, we also today we have this issue of the dev team is really trying to understand who's a real user and who isn't, because listen, it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden we went to this number. It also happened extremely quickly. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have an audience, and they know why they follow us, and we really do our best to deliver the best news. But don't believe the 79 numbers. Believe the view numbers better than that. And the numbers on X, in my opinion, and on YouTube, they make more sense anyway, at least for me, and in terms of engagement as well. But yeah, I agree. It's all we did the same thing basically. We wanted a reliable news source that's curated. And we wanted it to be by the community and not just, okay, this guy has this interest, so he posted this or whatever, and he closed the contract with them and blah, blah, blah. But we actually wanted to get the community involved in the process of curating and delivering the news and creating content around it, like, for example, what we do with the podcast, and to start experimenting with our own ways of how to monetize it, for example, the auctions that we're doing. But we're actually in very early stages of realizing how to even monetize the whole operation. But yeah, I agree. Often, an actual need of someone is actually the best catalyst for a new product to emerge. And it's very interesting, by the way, what you've shared. That's how Hyperliquid also started. I had no idea. Do you guys work closely with the guys from Hyperliquid? For example, did you need, or is it? You don't even because
it's completely permissionless. So the Hyperliquid team, I think, kind of flipped the script in comparison to other ecosystems, where you kind of had to be friends of the head of the ecosystem, and then you will get a grant to build on the chain. In Hyperliquid case, there is documentation available, and the moment you ask a question, I've been asking the questions not only from the quote seat, from other seats I had in the past as well. You always get the same answers, which is, if you want to build something, these are the docs, and you take the same way that everybody else is taking, and not just because you're coming from this door, you will better get a better seat, which is a very cool approach, especially if you want to attract builders and you want builders to compete in a fair way and reward the most talented builders, then that will attract the right group of people and not grant seekers.
That's such a great point as well. To be honest, it's a much more merit-based approach of like, okay, if you can do it, go ahead and build it. Just don't send me any messages. Like,
yeah, and the reason, interesting enough, the reason why they are able like to stay as close as they are, as small as they are, is because they do give the possibility to other builders to build on top of their project. It's very open. It's very plug and play as liquidity, as an exchange. And so, yes, like it's true, we are finding a lot of efficiencies with AI, and they have, an insane revenue per employee ratio. But also they have a whole set of ecosystem builders that are building stuff that not necessarily they want to bring in-house.
You've actually, you guys have mentioned that you are actually two of the co-founders of Quote. And actually, like, you guys are only like 3 people so far. So it's only co-founders mode up till now at Quote, which is actually very cool. I don't know if I've ever had a project that early on, or when it's that lean. So really a big shout out to you. It makes me curious and want to ask, like, okay, so what does each of you actually do separately? Like, what are there like different roles that you guys like divide amongst yourself? Like, who's in charge of what at Quote right now?
Yeah, I can take this one. So first and foremost, I would like to say that although he's not here with us today, Max is actually a fundamental part of the project. So he's our quant, our big brain, and he's been running most of the
always
project.
A quant, always have to have a quant. Huh?
Yeah. So he's a PhD as well. So he's a very, very good team member to have with us. And so he's the one responsible. He's our CTO. So he's the one in charge of the tech stack. As per myself, I'm the one in charge of operations. So I focus on what's needed on a day-to-day basis. I make sure that we can have whatever is needed in terms of, business requirements mostly. And then once we will be live, there will be a lot more straightforward communication on the tech side with Max as well. Then we have Filo, which is our CEO. He's in charge of communication with the outside, making sure that all elements of the strategy are defined, elements of fundraising as well are taken care of. And then there's the matter of having connections in the ecosystem, making sure Quote is well positioned. Also, this meeting itself is a testament to it and its work. Shout out to him. I don't know if I've left anything out of it, but surely there's also like legal and compliance sides of the business I'm the one in charge for. Philo, correct me if I left anything or forgot something. But I think that should, on a high level, cover most of how the work is distributed. And
it's a very early stage team, so we can't have our hands everywhere, anyways. But yeah, there is a different ownership of different things.
What can you guys already share about security audits and whatever? I know that often, like when new projects are on the rise, one of the regular challenges like that everyone faces is the whole security and audit side of things. And after that, I will ask you about funding as well, because I know that these are also like very high cost operations. So where do you guys stand on the audit side of things? Like, is it already audited? Has it been through multiple ones? What's your approach on that side?
Well, the approach is to build the most secure platform and taking into consideration all of the risks that there are when using a new trading interface. In our case, we inherit a lot of security from Hyperliquid itself, since we use this builder codes technology, which for everybody hearing not very familiar with the tech itself, it's a way for external builders to send orders to the Hyperliquid order book on behalf of their users. And so from that, you can infer part of the benefits of building with this solution, which is you're not the one running the smart contracts for the collateral, for the deposit, for the order book itself, but you're just submitting orders to the Hyperliquid order book. And so we are obviously we are ensuring that everything in the front end is very safe to use, and everything in the back end as well. And we will take the necessary audits there, but we're not building smart contracts in itself in the first iteration of quotes.
That's actually also very interesting to know. What about funding? What can you guys like share about that front? You know, often the case is that in order for a project to even begin, you need quite a bit of a budget to make it happen, whether it's for research, whether it's for liquidity, whether it's for whatever. What can you guys maybe add? Like, because I'm starting to think that the way you've structured it also maybe really saved you guys a lot on that side of things, and like minimizing the costs that you have in launching quote.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the decision around running the business the way we do, obviously had that in mind. In terms of funding, we haven't been funded. We are bootstrapping quote so far. We may take funding based on the product roadmap in the future. We do have a few angels that are active in the ecosystem and have built things and products like these in the past. But at the moment, it's bootstrapped, and yes, like the efficiencies that we are finding are helping a bit into the development cost. But running a DeFi protocol has a lot of inherent risks, and you need to have certain structures in place that are costly.
Very nice. Guys, what have I not asked you yet that I should have? What are some of the points that I'm missing and I'm not understanding that I'm missing? Kind of like what you told me about, like that you guys are solving something that users don't even know needs solving. Because I'm really not that experienced with trading myself, what else do you guys feel that maybe I haven't touched on and should have? When we really want to emphasize what quote like is about to change, like the kind of a difference that quote is about to bring, hopefully, to users and traders.
Yeah, maybe we can spend a couple of words on the added value we'll provide to users. As we said, there's the feeling of leaving something on the table, but what does that translate into? Technically, it's actually losses of alpha, so leakage of value. So money left on the table, but the perception of it happening is rarely the case. So many people don't even realize this is happening, because it might be that they have some slippage they eat out without realizing. Maybe they don't get filled on an order, they have to submit it another time. So they end up chasing the market without getting into the position they wanted to. That's the case for adverse selection, for instance. Not every user is aware of how that happens, but I can guarantee they've experienced these cases many times over. So what we want to do is to begin with solutions, algorithmic solutions that would prevent these predatory behaviors from extracting value out of traders that are less sophisticated. So in a nutshell, it would be a way for the smaller trader to protect himself from the malevolous players or the toxic order flow that can happen on exchanges in general, and in the specific case, Hyperliquid. Now, the evolution of this over time will lead us to having involvement with institutional players, allowing us to have deep liquidity on which we can match orders and evolve it into something more interesting. But just in a nutshell, to begin with, we will be providing value to retail users, and subsequently we will be able to provide value to institutionals just by allowing them to get on these exchanges.
Thank you very much for emphasizing these points, Josh. Actually, very relevant ones. We've actually gotten another question by Hannah. Shout out, Hannah. Thank you so much for participating and bringing some I should have asked that, for example, Hannah. So thank you so much for reminding me of how to do my own work. Appreciate it quite a lot. Hannah asks, how does your company, I don't even know if to call it a company, but you tell me, how does your company make money? How does your company make money? Subscription, profit sharing, or trading fees? Are your incentives aligned with the user's performance? Great question, Hannah.
Yeah, so to address the first question, how do we make money? We capture a fraction of what we save to users. So thanks to builder codes, we can get back, we can get a portion of fees from Hyperliquid, and ultimately the alignment is there for us to make sure that we enable a cost-efficient solution, meaning that if we were not able to save you capital while you execute these trades, over time we will lose customers. So the alignment is for us to have the most competitive fees for order execution. So it's 2 bips. We capture 2 bips, and we intend to save more than that. Obviously, the bigger the trade, the easier to save on the trade itself. But I would say there's strong alignment, because over time, with such a small fee, you would be able to see effectively if the strategies are helping you in achieving what you want to do, which is both on a execution side, saving capital, and then there's an element which is priceless, in my opinion, which is privacy. Now, embedding privacy in order execution is something that's very complex to do, but it's surely an added value that we will be bringing to the table, and for that, many players are willing to pay us.
Thank you very much for articulating that. Anything you want to add there, Philo?
No, not really. I think Josh covered it quite well.
Incredible. Guys,
have you played around with Hyperliquid yourself?
No, I'm not trading, to be honest. A few years ago, I realized that I just don't know how to trade. Like, I just don't know how to do it properly. And you know, are you guys familiar with Noah Seidman, Captain Rational? He's a content creator on YouTube and on X as well. So in a way, I think as years went by, I more and more adopted his attitude about how to invest in the space. And from what happened in the early years of early on when I entered the crypto, it was around DeFi summer of 2020. And basically, it was very easy to be fooled that you know how to trade in 2020, because in Hebrew we have a saying, I don't know how they say it in English, but in Hebrew we say kol matate yore, meaning every broom fires, meaning you just had to choose whatever, and it went to the moon. So very quickly you got the impression of, oh wow, I'm such a great trader. I just pick these and I touch them, and all of a sudden it 10x's or 20x's, and I'm such a legend. But then, the months started to pass by, and I realized that, okay, wow, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I have absolutely no idea on what a specific token or stock or asset are actually going to do. And it's much more of a gamble than I've realized, and I'm not able to take all the different variables that are really affecting the equation. I'm not even able to think about them. So for me, it actually went because I was still really fascinated by crypto and DeFi, especially, and everything that it solves, and I think a lot of it was also like the values that it brings, of like freedom, immutability, all this kind of stuff that really matters, in my opinion, and in which I really think are the main thing that's interesting about the industry. Because, the money go up is what attracted me. But once I started realizing the amount of smart and talented young people, such as yourselves, for example, who decide to actually build within the space, is what actually made me more and more curious. It made me want to like participate and create more and more content within it, and my like angle towards the industry became like a combination of mostly two things. Okay, I need to first of all work in the space, meaning if I think that I can add some value or like bring people to be aware about some of these amazing products and amazing people who are involved in their building, then I should start just doing that, because that's where I think that I can contribute in a way, or at least try. And regarding investing, I really took more and more, as much as I could actually, the approach of Captain Rational, shout out to the Cap, that, okay, I just want to find assets that I not only think at some point will be worth more, because I have no idea to know what will happen. I want to find assets who actually pay me, you know. I will give you an example. Like for me, what's actually going to be most interesting about a product like Quote, and sure, like if you guys can convince me that you think someone like myself, without really knowing much, can be like all of a sudden successful in trading because of some of the properties that Quote provide, I'll be very interested to know. But actually what I'm most curious about, which is actually a good way to think of another question, okay, if and when Quote is going to have a token of its own, for example, will this token be like a revenue sharing token? Me, for example, the tokens I'm mostly into are these like kinds of tokens. Like if you're familiar like with the VE tokens, the vote in escrow tokens. So, you know, the kinds of tokens that are like, okay, you take a long-term bet on this project, not because of whatever, but because you actually think that there's a good service being provided here and people will keep using it, like, and the project will work and revenue will be generated through the system. So come on, join it, hold the token, usually lock it, and usually lock it for long periods of time, such as with CRV by Curve, for example, which, again, I don't know if you're familiar, but like to max lock CRV, you lock it for 4 years to have like the full rights for both revenue and voting. And for me personally, because I'm very like small investor, I use wrappers of that token, such as YCRV by Yearn. So when you use the locked version, it's called YVYCRV or STYCRV, depends. But for me, like that's my angle of like how to deal with the crypto space. And also I must say that mentally it's much easier like for me, because like trading is it's not easy. Actually, you know, I have this friend, we also entered the space back then. I apologize for the long monologue, but I just really think that with you guys being traders, I kind of want to share it with you guys. Maybe you will have some insight on that as well. He was actually much more into the whole trading side of things when we first became aware of crypto. A lot of these small tokens, and he really looked at, he was like touching like these tiny tokens, moving the markets himself, again, as a tiny, like with a few $1,000s as well. But honestly, he didn't really, like, it wasn't sustainable what he's done. Like he's not, nowadays, he's not into crypto at all. He's not touching it. He's not looking at it, because I really think that mentally it was just too much for him, and he really just got exhausted. Maybe share us a bit of like, what do you guys think about this whole big monologue of mine there about trading versus investing, and what are maybe some of your advices, I should say, to traders out there?
Yeah, I mean, I've also been using a lot of DeFi, the protocols that you mentioned. I think the vote escrow model is definitely very interesting. It's been not really explored outside of swaps. So outside of like DEXs that do spot, it's been quite untouched. But generally, like, yes, like really depending on what you're good at and what you want to learn and delve deep into, like if there is a belief that is helpful to have in this world is that you can achieve anything. It doesn't mean that you will by just waking up tomorrow, but eventually if trading is what you want to do, you're going to figure out an edge and build a good execution. We're not going to convince you that the quote is the place that will make your trade profitable by tomorrow. But especially if you don't know what you're doing, you don't want to just give out money to market makers and exchanges like Al. So perhaps there is a bigger benefit in that. But yes, like spots. And playing around in DeFi, I have my whole portfolio in DeFi. I've been playing around for a while. I think the market is converging towards those tokens that are aligning the equity with the tokens in some kind. Hype, for example, does all of the revenue share to the token. Pump, there is Syrup. There is a lot of tokens that I've tried these in a different way from the Vote SQUID that was quite unexplored out of the access. So I guess if you're really interested into yields, there is stuff that you can do when trading as well that does not entail you taking a directional bet on the underlying asset, which is more around the yield farming component of funding rates, as INA has been doing, as other projects on the HyperVM as well. So I think there is like, even if you're not a trader yourself in terms of directionally, there is stuff to explore in the Hyperliquid ecosystem or in general in the trading ecosystem that can generate you yield by itself.
Yeah, if I can add to this, I think this is very interesting what you mentioned. It's something you never hear about, especially because it's typically a type of strategy that requires a lot of sophistication and understanding. But thanks to perpetuals, now we have access to yield farming strategies with an easy way of interfacing ourselves with financial products. Whereas earlier, if you wanted to get the funding rate, so the premium you would collect by selling a put, to what Filippo specifically is referring in one case is a delta neutral trade. So you have one long leg and a short leg. So meaning that wherever the market goes, you don't really have an impact on your portfolio. What matters to you is how much you get paid to keep the short position open. So this was conducted previously with futures. So you had an expiration at the end of which you collected the premium. Now, thanks to perps, you can easily run this strategy on your own by having, say, your Bitcoin, your Hype, your Ethereum in your wallet. And then you take out a leveraged position, and thanks to which you get paid funding rate just by virtue of you having the position open. So you don't really need to know where the market is going as long as you know there's an interest to pay your position to be short. And this is one of the many examples, but being a trader in that sense doesn't necessarily require you taking directional exposure. There's many other ways you can play, especially with more sophisticated products. Probably options do this very well, and there's a lot of way to express opinions on markets via options. I think a very interesting way of doing it has been established nowadays with prediction markets. It's a very easygoing way to present a yes or no outcome, and you can bet on it. So I think that's been a highly appreciated simplification of trading that the markets needed. Like everybody does a binary kind of trade. When they go to the bookie and want to bet on AC Milan or Real Madrid winning the match, there's three outcomes: there's a win, there's a draw, and there's a loss for the team. Whereas when you do it with options, specifically with the prediction market, you have a yes or no event and it goes to 1 or to 0. Now you can say Bitcoin will be the future, or Bitcoin will have to move within this range to make me a profit, or Bitcoin has to move to this point before getting here, before I can make a profit. Well, that's pretty much the same direction of Bitcoin, but a different type of approach to how you express your opinion about it. And I think DeFi especially is allowing us over time to enter more sophisticated products with simpler access. And I think many more products will come along in DeFi, allowing for simplification of complex things, which in essence is something we're trying to do ourselves by allowing less sophisticated players to benefit from highly sophisticated strategies.
That's such an interesting point, Josh. It makes me wonder, like, are these kind of stuff going to also be accessible on Quote as well? Like, do you guys intend to like integrate some of these like strategies that you've mentioned like onto it rather than the classic trading experience of choosing token A compared to token B?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, because ultimately the Hyperliquid improvement proposal number 4 will bring prediction markets on Hyperliquid. So clearly there's an edge in having an optimized execution. So we have a benefit. We provide an added value to traders by virtue of them being executed better. And now on the former question, on the former side of the question where you asked, do you intend to bring these simplifications to trades? Not directly. So we don't want to reinvent every single type of market. We are in contacts with teams that actually have specific products coming out that will, for instance, do this, simplify complex trading strategies with options in a yes or no outcome, or in a type of buy or sell event. So what we want to do is offer them optimized execution on their markets, kind of like the neutrality principle that Hyperliquid has. It doesn't want to build everything, it wants to bring liquidity. And then for us would be bringing optimized execution to players who want to build this. And as I said before, the integration in the back end would be the key for us. So we don't have to think about every nuance. We leave teams that want to build on a specific problem, that want to solve it. We bring our expertise via an API integration, and then they have the opportunity of servicing their own markets in a better way. And this is specifically valid for less liquid markets. So if you're a small market and you're building on Hyperliquid and want to launch your own, then having somebody like us to come in and say, hey, look, traders can use us in your interface directly without having to come to our app, then that would be better for them, because knowing there's less participation, the trades will be filled in a not optimal way. So just to summarize this whole answer is, yes, we will do it via HIP4, so meaning prediction markets. It's something we're looking into. We'll have more information as it evolves for the Hyperliquid community, and we'll have more info on it. And then on the other side, we not necessarily want to integrate these solutions, because we'll leave space for others to build these solutions in a better way, and then we will provide our own expertise into it.
That's such a great answer, in my opinion. And I really think it resonates with the mindset in which it seems you guys are actually building the project and the team in general, which is like, be as efficient as possible, as minimal as possible. Only do what you have to do and do best, and work around it. Which is a very cool, and I think, I'm encountering quite a few young builders such as yourselves, which really, you guys are just more efficient than previous generations. Let me tell you, that's my impression of a lot of the very highly capable young individuals that I'm speaking to within the space, and they really understand the already integrative nature of the industry to really just, okay, let us do what we do and just provide it to as many different ventures as possible, rather than trying to, let's say, eat the whole cake yourselves. The best way to eat the whole cake is to just be integrated into whatever other cakes someone is already building, and getting yourself as an integral part of the supply chain, let's call it there, of these services, which I must say I find really also very smart and quite fascinating to watch, I must say. So shout out to you guys. I think that's actually quite brilliant. Guys, I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's evening for you guys as well, and I'm sure you're doing some other stuff. Anything that you want to add that we haven't touched on and you want to share? Anything that you want to tell the audience as a call to action? Where should they follow you guys? And again, you've said something about it earlier, but let's mention it again. So you're saying that a private beta is coming soon?
Yes. So to join the private beta, just go on our website and there is a link to our waitlist. Those are the people that will try the product. We're trying to keep it close. If you are a trader, join the private beta, or if you are interested in around what these services look like, then feel free to. And I would say if you trade on Hyperliquid with any size, we will be interested in talking to you. So we are very available on Telegram. Just shoot a text or even say in the group, just trying to understand a bit better how we can build a product that is going to be valuable for you as well as other people. And just the more traders we speak to, the better it is. But what we have as an approach is to build the best product out there. And so yes, this is the way to do it, which is just go on the website and then there is this button for the Telegram. So that's the only call to action I would say.
Quote markets.xyz, join the waitlist. From what I saw, like this actually leads to the TG group, right?
Correct, yes.
Amazing, and the guys are very responsive there. So shout out to you guys as well. Very nice to see the community that you're already building there with quite a few people. Josh, anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
I would like to thank you very much for having us. You've been a fantastic host. Really appreciated you taking the time to invite us, and you flattered us with comments and positive feedback. So thank you very much for it. And quote that is our motto. So quote that.
Thank you so much, sir. I really enjoyed it. I really think that really this was, I must say, it was even more interesting. I had an idea that it's going to be interesting because I talked to Philo last week, I think it was, and I was already quite curious about him. Although I must say, I didn't hear you that well. You were on your way there, I think, Philo, from the subway or from the underground, I think they call it over there.
On the tube. That's how they call it in London.
So I knew it was going to be interesting, but I haven't really realized how much. It really makes me realize that I don't know enough about Hyperliquid and what's been done there. And like the interesting solutions that folks such as yourselves are starting to build around this very, let's call it ancient concept of just like, trading, which is like the oldest trick in the book of crypto in a way, but it still can be so much, it can be taken to so many other levels and like be optimized in so many ways, which is actually very fascinating to see. I'm looking forward to see the app and the private beta going live. I should be, it will be a great excuse for me to try Hyperliquid actually for the first time and realize what it's all about. And thank you guys for taking the time and coming and sharing it with me and the Leviathan News and my own audience. And looking forward for the next time already with some updates about what you guys are building, features that you will be adding, and all kinds of useful stuff, hopefully. And shout out Hannah for all the great questions as well, and all the new viewers. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming. Let me present Pharos Watch again, the sponsors of this week's show. Let me also, use the opportunity and give a shout out to Max from Bounce Tech, who actually made you guys notice us. So check out Bounce Tech, which actually offers, correct me if I'm wrong, like leverage tokens on Hyperliquid. So shout out to them as well. Really enjoyed this one. Shout out Pharos Watch as well. I will just share the outro video again by Arcos. And guys, thank you again for joining, and talk to you soon.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズだ。逃げろ。誰でもトトできる。誰でもスキーを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実が